Alright, welcome back to the Recipe Analyst. Today I'll be making chicken Scarpariello from the Italian American Cookbook. To start, I'll work on the garlic, and I'm going to remove the peels, of course, before I can go ahead and chop it up. And after that, I'll go ahead and process the poblano peppers, remove the seeds, and then cut them into 1/4-inch slices. Next, I work on the sweet cherry peppers. I only need 4. And then I chop off the tops and remove the seeds. There are a lot of seeds in these peppers, so try your best to get as much out as you can. And once I removed most of the seeds, I go ahead and chop those up as well. The recipe calls for a cup of the juice from the sweet cherry peppers, but I only had about 3/4 of a cup that came out. So after I measured out the chicken stock, I topped up that juice with some chicken stock. Next, I'm going to remove the casings from the sausage. You can also just use ground sausage so you don't have to remove the casings. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll them into about golf ball size balls. The last prep that I have to do is season the chicken with salt and pepper. The recipe calls for 6 chicken thighs, and to save as much space as possible and reduce the amount of fat in this recipe, I remove the excess skin, and then I go ahead and season both sides generously with some kosher salt and freshly cracked black pepper. Now I can heat some vegetable oil over medium-high heat, and once that's shimmering, I can start browning the chicken. Because my pot wasn't big enough for all the chicken, I decided to brown the chicken in 2 batches. And while the chicken was browning, I went ahead and measured out the fennel seed as well as the oregano. So about after 8 minutes, the chicken was done browning. This was about 4 or 5 minutes in, and I also went ahead and squeezed some lemon juice, which goes in at the very end. So this was about after 8 minutes, and I took out those pieces of chicken. You just need to brown the skin side, and I went ahead and added the remaining 2 pieces of chicken to the pot to get browned. So those 2 pieces went a little bit quicker, and after that I immediately added the sausage to brown as well. And I rotated these a few times, about 2 or 3 times, to get most of the sides nice and brown before removing those from the pot as well. Next, I add the Anaheim peppers, and I cook those for a couple of minutes until they're brown and slightly softened, followed by the garlic and the fennel and oregano. I let that cook until the garlic is golden and fragrant before I add the sweet cherry peppers, the juice from those peppers, as well as the chicken stock. Then I add the sugar, rice vinegar, honey, and the sriracha. I give that a stir, and then I bring it to a pretty vigorous simmer / a boil. And the goal is to let this reduce pretty significantly by about 2/3, but I think I got closer to a half before I added the chicken. And the liquid should come to about halfway up the chicken. I let that cook for about 12 minutes before I add the sausage. Lower the heat to just a simmer and cover it and let that cook for about 10 minutes until the chicken is fully cooked. To finish things off, I add the lemon juice and butter. The butter's a little difficult to mix in because the pot is pretty full, but once it's mixed in, I make sure the chicken is done using the thermometer, and it's done. So what did I think of this chicken? I really enjoyed it. It's intensely savory with a slight sweetness which balances things out, and the combination of the chicken and sausage works surprisingly well. I really have no complaints about this. It does take a little time to do, but I think it's well worth it, so I decided to give this recipe a 10 out of 10. Anyway, as always, you can read the full in-depth analysis at therecipeanalyst.com and let me know if you have any recommendations of recipes you want me to try. And as always, thanks for watching.